Okay, so today what I want to speak about is the process of moving into the land of Eretz Yisrael. It's a huge process, and it's not an easy one. Just this past Sunday, I ran a panel, which was a fascinating panel with amazing people, some from our neighborhood, and it was all young people who made Aliyah in the last 15, 20 years, and it was an open panel to Jews from around the world, that they could meet people. It wasn't a professional panel that we're going to say, okay, this is where you register and these are your rights and this is how much money you make and this is, where you could get a job. It was more of a personal panel to learn the conversations, to learn the people from, the people who made Aliyah, the people who, their hardships, their mindset, how did they do it? How did they overcome it? We dealt with family and with Parnasa and with education and with community, which were the issues that people are really bothering people. Baruch Hashem, we had phenomenal feedback. People wrote to me private messages and emails about how they were contemplating the idea. They turned to Hashem and they said, send us a sign. And then they're like, we've listened to this panel and this is a clear sign. And more people are making the jump, trying to make a jump. It's not so simple. It's something that needs to be considered. But I think there's a new wave that is coming now. And we need to be thinking about it strategically as communities and as groups. But what I want to focus about is the challenge that we need to overcome before we are zocha, before we merit to come into Eretz Yisrael. And I think this is really gets encapsulated in this week's Parsha, and Parsha's Balak, because we'll see what is the journey that Bnei Yisrael needed to go through before they merited to go into Eretz Yisrael. And I want to even go further back in time to see what our forefathers had to go through in order to merit coming into the land of Eretz Yisrael. Because coming into Israel is always a process. There's always something that we need to overcome in order to merit entering Eretz Yisrael. And that process is what we are facing today. And therefore, this is going to be so practical and so nogea to our lives and to our journeys, to our quest into trying to make it into Eretz Yisrael, whether we're here or not. Yet, we have to know if this is going to be, what are the steps that we need to take as a nation. So I wanted to take a look at the beginning of this week's Parsha. And this week, actually, we come together in Chutz La'aretz and in Eretz Yisrael. In Chutz La'aretz, they're leaning Chukas Balak. Here in Eretz Yisrael, they're leaning Balak. And the Parshios become aligned before Tisha B'Av. The Parshios always get aligned before Tisha B'Av. If you look at this week's Parsha, Vayal Balak ben Tzipor, right in the beginning, Balak ben Tzipor sees how Am Yisrael overcame the Mori, and Moab was scared in front of Am Yisrael. Vayakatz Moab mipnei bnei Yisrael. Vayomer Moab, and there's this Moab, and who's Moab? It's like the Moab people, the nation of Moab said, El Ziknei Midian. They turned to the elders of Midian. So we hear about this person, doesn't tell us who he is and what does he do, and then it says that Moab was scared, and they turned to the elders of Midian. And they said, this nation is going to come and eat us up like an ox eats the, he's in the field and he eats up from the root. He eats up the Yerek HaSadeh. And then it says, Balak ben Tzipor melech Moab beisi. And on that time, Balak ben Tzipor became the king of Moab at that time. Vayishlach malachim el Bilam. And then Balak sent messengers to Bilam ben Beor Petor asher al anar eretz bnei amo likrolo. And then Balak calls Bilam. So if you look at the Rishonim, the way they explain it over here is that Balak in the beginning was not the king of Moab. He was one of the princes. He was one of the warriors. He was one of the leaders. But Moab was so scared, so they turned to the elders of Midian. And the elders of Midian told them to do two things. Number one is to appoint Balak as your king. If you want to beat and defeat the Jewish people, Balak needs to be in the full king power. And therefore it says, Balak, ben Tzipor, melech l'moav be'esei. And number two, they say, listen to Balak, and Balak should also be in charge of sending messengers to Bilam, because together with Bilam and Balak, this is your chance to wipe out the Jewish people. When Balak and Bilam are going to be working together against the Jewish people. Now, what is this? Who is Balak? Who is Bilam? What do they represent? What does that mean that they're going to be able to defeat the Jewish people? And we see that they chose unconventional warfare. They didn't go for the regular let's attack them. They went, let's curse them. Let's bring a wizard into the story over here and let's curse the Jewish people. So what exactly is going on over here? What is the process that, Moab tried to go through in order to destroy the Jewish people? That's question number one. Question number two, if you look at the actual curses, or which turned out to be the blessings of Bilam to the Jewish people, you'll see two words that constantly repeat themselves. In fact, they appear 7 times throughout the Parsha. And that is the word Yaakov and Yisrael. I'm not going to go through all of it, but if you look at the psukim, it says, Lecha arali Yaakov ulecha zuama Yisrael. You should go curse Yaakov and curse Yisrael. Mimana afar Yaakov umispar et rova Yisrael. Who has counted the number of the children of Yaakov and the rova of Yisrael? Hebit aven beYaakov velo ra'a mal beYisrael. Ki lo nachash beYaakov velo kesem beYisrael. Ken yamer leYaakov uleYisrael. Right? Matovu alecha Yaakov mishkenosecha Yisrael. Every time that Bilam is coming to bless Am Yisrael, he uses these words of Yaakov and Yisrael in the same way. Darach kochav mi Yaakov vekam shevet mi Yisrael. There's always Yaakov and Yisrael, besides the last time, which is actually says Yisrael first, and then it says Yaakov. Look it up in the psukim. It's amazing to see the brachos of Bilam. Now, the brachos of Bilam Arash, just so that we understand what we're talking about. The Gemara says that this prophecy, that Bilam, first of all, was on the level of Moshe Rabbi, and this prophecy encapsulates in it the past, the present, and the future for all times. And the Gemara says that really we were supposed to read it daily in Kriya Shema. We were supposed to read this whole Parsha in Kriya Shema every single morning, Shachris and Mariv. And the reason why we don't do it is because of Tircha de Tzibura. It'll be too long for us to read it. And therefore the Chachamim did not want to institute that we should read this Parasha. But this Parasha, as it appears, and there's no hefsekim in the Parasha, should appear we should be reading it every single day because it encapsulates so much in it. What does it encapsulate in it? What is the message of this week's Parsha? Why do we have Yaakov and Yisrael again and again? What is this unconventional warfare that Bilam and Balak are going to go fight against Am Yisrael? Now, in order to understand this, we know Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim. We really have to look back further in history, in Jewish history, and to see the journey that the Avos needed to take in order to reach Eretz Yisrael. Now we find already by Avram Avinu that he had to go for a little bit of an exile, and then he went down to Mitzrayim, and then he left. And Yitzchak didn't actually leave Eretz Yisrael. And then Yaakov went to a longer exile, not to Mitzrayim, but he went to Haran to live in the house of Lavan. Now the Gaon of Vilna, in his explanation on Tikkunei Zohar in the 3rd chapter, builds a comparison between Yaakov's journey to Chutz La'aretz in Lavan's house to Am Yisrael's journey down to Mitzrayim. And he says, if you look at it, it's very, very similar. Yaakov goes down by himself almost, down into Gullus. And in Gullus, in the exile, living away from his parents, that's where the nation, the Jewish family of Yaakov gets formed, in exile. That's when the 12 Shvatim are born. Even Binyamin is on the way back. They're born specifically in exile. And over there, he works really hard and he gets tricked. 100 times he gets tricked in his work. And then the way he's able to defeat whoever is tricking him is actually, if you remember by Yaakov, it's the akudim, nekudim. He made the sticks and he chiseled out of them different things so that the sheep could actually be chiseled. It was the sticks that helped him overcome Lavan, who was trying to trick him. And then he had to run away from Lavan. And he said, I'm going to go for 3 days. When Lavan left for 3 days to harvest, to shear the sheep, Yaakov had to leave. And then he chased after him and caught up to him on the day 6 because he had to 3 days plus an additional 3 days that Yaakov already. He was able to catch up to him on the 7th day and tried to destroy him there. And that's when Yaakov does the treaty with Lavan. The same exact thing, says the Gaon of Vilna, is what Am Yisrael had to go through. They went down into exile just as a small family. But the formation of the nation happened where? Happened. Am I back? Okay, I think we're back for more. I was frozen a little bit, and then we're back. I don't know where I left you off. Where did I leave off? I'm gonna unmute a second.
You left us off with Yaakov going down to Lavan.
Okay, so
when Lavan runs after him. No,
yes.
when Lavan runs after him.
Okay, excellent. So we'll continue right over there. Yeshikov, thank you. Okay, excellent. Very good. One second. Okay. This Zoom thing is unbelievable. You know, with all the great technologies, we still have to deal with all the difficulties of technology. It never beats the face-to-face contact. Doesn't beat it. Don't let anybody. There are benefits that we could all sit at home and hear the shiur, but it doesn't beat the face-to-face contact. Rabbi Wein told me his jokes are just not the same because no one is laughing. Or maybe they're laughing, but he doesn't hear it. You know, a good educator doesn't just come up and speak. He needs to work off the crowd. If the crowd is frozen, so then what do we got? Anyway, so the Gaon of Vilna says like this. He says that Yaakov Avinu going down to Mitzrayim, going down to Lavan's house, and the formation of the nation there, and the coming back of Yaakov on his journey back to Eretz Yisrael is very similar to the concept of Bnei Yisrael going down to Mitzrayim. Again, Yaakov Avinu goes down to Lavan's house, and he's nothing, and it was the formation of his Jewish family happens specifically in Golus. So the same thing happens to the entire nation. We go down to Egypt, and the formation of the Jewish nation happens specifically in Golus. We get tricked so many times. Paro makes us work extra hard. Lavan makes Yaakov Avinu works extra hard. Yaakov is able to overpower Lavan's trickery with the stick. And Nekudim, he's able to engrave the sticks, put them in front of the sheep, and that's how the sheep were born, with spots and with speckles. This way, Lavan wasn't able to take all of his sheep. The way we were able to overpower Paro was with the sticks as well. It was the stick of Moshe Rabbeinu. Yaakov Avinu runs away from Lavan. When Lavan went to shear his sheep 3 days away, Yaakov Avinu runs away from him. Lavan chases after him, catches up to him on the seventh day. The same thing with Bnei Yisrael. They told Paro, we're going for 3 days to the desert. After 3 days, Paro says, what's going on over here? I'm going to go chase after them. He chases after them and catches up to them on the seventh day. On the seventh day happens Kriyas Yamsuf, where we finally get rid of Paro. And on the seventh day happens the treaty between Yaakov and Lavan, where we finally are able to get rid of Lavan, and Lavan is not trying to destroy the Jewish people. This is the parallel that the Gura explains. Now, it's not just a parallel in physicality. He says that in order for a nation, for a family to be formed, it needs to happen in the total opposite of what it represents. You know, when you put in two chemicals that oppose one another, that's what brings the strength of one chemical the more. That's why there's always bubbling up, because they're opposing one another, so they're fighting against one another, and then they bubble up. So you put Yaakovin, which is the man of truth, Ish Emes, into the house of Lavan, which is the man of Sheker. It's the exact contra, an opposite, and that's where he needs to strengthen his midah of Emes and to be able to deal with the trickery of Lavan. The same thing is with Am Yisrael. They're going down to Mitzrayim, which is the place of Tumah. From there is going to be born the nation of Kedusha. In the ultimate place of Tumah, they need to strengthen their level of Tara and of Kedusha. Now, the Nekuda is the process in which Yaakov has to leave Lavan's house is also parallel to the process in which Bnei Yisrael leave Mitzrayim. And it's also parallel to the process that we need to go through when we leave our galut, our exile. And this is what I want to express over here. Yaakov Avinu, when he leaves Lavan's house, he needs to overcome two phases. Phase number one is overcoming Lavan himself. Lavan chases after him, and Lavan says, Habanot bnotai, Habanim banai, the children are mine, the daughters are mine. We're really one big family. Lavan with his tongue is always trying to trick Yaakov Avinu and to trick him to stay. I want you to stay over here. I want you to stay in Gullus. And we're really all one family. Yaakov Avinu understands that in order for him to survive, in order for him to make it to Eretz Yisrael, he needs to draw a line that separates between him and between Lavan. And therefore, what does it say in Bereshis? Vayomer Lavan liYaakov, hine hagal hazeh, hine hamatzeva, asher yariti beini uvencha, ed hagal hazeh, ve'ida matzeva, im ani lo yavor elecha, et hagal hazeh, v'im ata lo ta'avor elai et hagal hazeh, ve'et hamatzeva azot l'ra'a. They make a mound of rocks, a gal, which is going to be the covenant. And this mound of rocks is going to be, and remember this is going to be the witness that will make sure that you will not transfer over on my side to hurt me, and I will not come over to your side to hurt you. This is the covenant between Yaakov and Lavan, because Yaakov understands in order for me to make it to Eretz Yisrael, I need to disconnect from Lavan. And Lavan wants to make sure that Yaakov will never come and hurt him, and Yaakov wants to make sure that Lavan will never come and hurt him. That is phase number one that the Jewish people need to overcome, that Yaakov needs to overcome when he leaves Lavan's house. But then comes the next stage that Yaakov needs to confront before he makes it into Eretz Yisrael. What's the second step that Yaakov needs to confront? Who does he need to confront? That's the following Parsha, in Parsha's Vayishlach. He's getting closer to Eretz Yisrael, and he sends messengers. Who's coming towards Yaakov to stop him from moving into the land of Eretz Yisrael? It's Esav HaRasha, who's coming with 400 men. What exactly was the battle between Yaakov and Esav? So we don't know exactly what their battle was about. We know that Yaakov Avinu, as he gets closer, he has the fight, the physical fight with the angel of Esav, which is coming to destroy him, physically to kill him. And Yaakov is able to overcome him. Yaakov is able to destroy him and to restrain him and then to let him go. What exactly was that battle about? So we understand it from the conversation between Yaakov and Esav. And this will reveal a whole other level that we need to overcome before we go into Eretz Yisrael. Yaakov has a conversation with Esav. And first of all, the Ramban says that the fight between Yaakov and the Sar of Esav represents the fights that Am Yisrael is going to have throughout all of the Golus. Vayivater Yaakov levado, vayeavek ish imo ad alos hashacher. Represents all of the terrible battles that Am Yisrael had to confront and to endure throughout all of the years of exile. What exactly was the battle about? What's the conversation between Yaakov and Esav? When they meet, Yaakov sent him all this good stuff, and Esav says, "Vayomer Esav yesh li rav achi." I have plenty. I have a lot. I don't need anymore. I don't need your sheep. And he sent him so much. And Yaakov says, yes, I understand. But take my present, ki yesh li kol, because I have everything that I need. What's the difference between yesh li rav and yesh li kol? I have plenty, a lot. That's harbe. That's many. And yesh li kol, I have everything that I need. Many, a lot, is always in comparison to somebody else. I have a lot. I have more. More is always in comparison. I have more than you. I have harbe yoter mimcha. I have more than what you have. So it's always in comparison. If I have a lot of money, if I have, I don't know, I have $1 million. It's a lot of money. Is that a lot of money? Can I buy a house for $1 million? Sure. I could buy a house in the Negev. I could buy a house in the Midwest. Could I buy a house in New York City, in the fancy counties of LA, or in Tel Aviv, Herzliya, Pituach, or Rechavia? I don't know. $1 million is a lot of money, but it's always in comparison to where you are. It's always in comparison to the people that are around you. Maybe $1 million in certain neighborhoods is not a lot. Oh, this guy doesn't have a lot of money. Or maybe $1 million is a lot. Oh my goodness, this guy has $1 million. He lives in Dimona. He has a lot of money. 100%. It depends where the person lives and what is he in comparison to. Esav is always comparing himself to other people. Yaakov says that's not our hashkafa. he says, Yesh li kol, I have everything. How much do you have? What does that mean, everything? I have everything that I need. Whatever it is that I have is everything, because whatever Hashem gave me is everything that I need. And that's why, by the way, Yaakov Avinu goes back to get the pachim ketanim, the small jugs. And right there is where the Malach of Esav goes to fight against him, because right there is where the battle is all about. What are you going back for pachim ketanim? It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of your money. No. Yaakov needs to go back. And that's where Esav fights with him about what is our approach towards money. And when a person's approach towards money is always in comparison, so then that leads to jealousy. It leads to hatred, to baseless hatred. I can't believe this guy has so much. What's the difference that he has so much? Why does it bother you? It bothers me because I feel insecure that I don't have so much, because I'm always comparing myself to other people. So it bothers me. It shouldn't bother me, but that is the midah of Esav. And that's why Yaakov Avinu is able to defeat the angel of Esav, but he's able to hurt him somewhere. Where does he hurt him? He hurts him in the Gid HaNashe. The Gid HaNashe is one of the 365 sinews, and the Zohar tells us that we have Shasa, Gidim, Ramach Evarim, and Shasa, Gidim, 365 sinews that are parallel to 365 days of the year, and Gid HaNashe is parallel to which day of the year? Tisha B'Av, because Tisha B'Av is where Esav and Esav's angel is able to overpower the Jewish people, is the place that he's able to destroy our Beis HaMikdash. Why? Because of Sinas China, because of baseless hatred. And where does that come from? Because when we start living in a world of comparing what I have into what other people have, so Esav says, you are living in my world, you're living in my space, in Yeshli Rav, it's all about comparison to other people. So this is where I own this territory and I will rule over you. And that's where the Jewish people got destroyed. Yaakov Avinu needs to overcome Lavan at first. And Lavan represents the person who says, let's assimilate. Let's come together. The girls are my girls and the boys are my boys. Let's all come together. Esav represents the person who wants to destroy us, to kill us, to wipe us out. When does he want to destroy us? When does he have the power to destroy us? When we start living like he lives, which is all about comparison. Yeshli Rav, Yeshli Harbe. It's all about my wealth and other people's wealth and that type of society. And that's when Esav rises, and that's when he wants to destroy us. The Jewish people, when they leave Mitzrayim, end up confronting the same process in this week's Parsha. What does that mean? What does that mean that they face Lavan and Esav in this week's Parsha? And this is what's going to blow your mind away. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Says the Medrash, you know that Bilam was traveling on his donkey to go curse the Jewish people. Now, the first time, what happened? The donkey stopped. Why did the donkey stop? Donkey went off to the side of the road. What did the donkey see? He saw the angel holding a sword. What happened the second time? The second time, it crushed the leg of Bilam against the wall, against the stone wall that was on the side of the road. And he hit him. And then the third time is there was no way to pass, so the donkey just sat down. And then Hashem opened up Bilam's eyes and he sees the angel and he he hit the donkey and the donkey speaks, right? That whole process. Now, when the donkey rubbed Bilam's leg against the wall, there's a fascinating Medrash Tanchum. Eid Hagal hazeh, zeh she'amar hakatuv vatilachetz et regel Bilam el akir. Hagal hu akir. לפי שעבר בלעם את השבועה שנשבע ליעקב, שנאמר אם לא תעבור את הגל הזה ואת המצבה הזאת לרעה, ובלעם זה לבן, שנאמר ארמי עובד אבי, ועל שביקש לכלות ישראל נקרא ארמי, שנאמר ולך זו עמה ישראל. Says the Medrash something fascinating. Who is Bilam? Bilam is Lavan. Bilam is Lavan, and he's coming to destroy Yaakov and Yaakov's family, and therefore when he passes the mound of rocks that he put as a testimony that he will not come to hurt Yaakov and his children, the donkey went against the rock to hurt his leg because he's saying you're going against what you promised. And Bilam is Lavan. Now, does it mean that it's a Gilgal of Lavan? Does it mean that he's a sorcerer that lived for hundreds of years? Because we're talking about when Yaakov, Yaakov is the beginning of the tribes. We're talking about Yaakov's children and their children and their children, and at least 210 years later, maybe more, 400 years from when Yitzchak was born, right? 400 years when Yitzchak was born. And Lavan is Rivka's brother. So what are we talking? And he's older than Rivka. So we're talking about almost 400 years later that the Jewish people encountered Lavan. Maybe he lived to 400 and he was a sorcerer. And he's coming and he's going against to destroy the Jewish people. How? Just like Lavan. Lavan tries to destroy the Jewish people with his mouth, with his speaking, with his, being Arami. So too comes Bilam and says, I'm going to go curse the Jewish people, but it's not enough. And the Farshim explain that Ziknei Midian, the elders of Midian, told Moab, you have to go get Balak as the king, and Balak, together with Bilam, they will be able to destroy the Jewish people. What does Balak represent? So it says the Medrash. The Medrash says like this, that if you take the last two words of Bilam and you take the last two words of Balak, so what's the last two words of Bilam? It's Ayin Mem. The last two words of Balak is Lamed Kuf. Together they spell Amalek. Amalek. Bilam together with Balak represents Amalek. Bilam is the one who's going to curse with the words. Balak is the warrior who's going to come and fight and destroy the Jewish people with the sword. Esav represents the sword that wants to destroy the Jewish people. And therefore, he says, I'm going to join with Bilam, who's going to curse the Jewish people, who's going to say, let's assimilate. Which, by the way, was Bilam's advice. He said, go send the girls of Midian after them and then let them assimilate. And then Balak says, okay, I'll let them assimilate, and then I'm going to come and destroy them, because once they assimilate, I'm going to end up destroying them. And that's what the word Amalek is actually made up of two words. Am means imum, to make something me'umam is like, it becomes foggy. It becomes not clear. The lines, the barriers between Am Yisrael and the rest of the people becomes not so clear. And lek means to lick, like a dog that it's kasher yaloka kelev is to lick, comes from the word lek. It's like someone who's entrenched in physicality and in gashmius and in all of the physical pleasures of this world. And that's how we're going to overcome them. And that's when Esav will be able to come and destroy them. So in a way, Am Yisrael coming towards Eretz Yisrael, we see that now as a nation, it happened to Yaakov as an individual. It happens now to Am Yisrael as a nation. They're confronted with two challenges. The challenge of Lavan, who tries to use his words to say, we're one people, we're one nation, we're really American, we're really Germans, we're really British, we belong to whatever Gullus commonwealth we belong to. And we're part of this culture. And it's time to assimilate. And then there's another challenge, which is the challenge of the sword, of Esav, who tries to destroy us. Because he says, if you're living in the world of Gashmius, the world of Sinat Chinam, the world of Yeshli Rav, I have a lot, and it's all about having more than other people, so then he says, that's my world, I will destroy you. That's what Am Yisrael had to overcome. That's what Yaakov Avinu had to overcome. And that's what we need to overcome right now. Because we're facing the same exact thing. They represent Bilam together with Balak, represent Lavan and Esav, and that's always the journey that Am Yisrael needed to overcome. We find this also when Bnei Yisrael entered back to Eretz Yisrael in the end of the 70 years of Galus. There was the trying to assimilate Am Yisrael, that everyone should be the same, and then it was Haman who was trying to destroy Bnei Yisrael. It was inviting them to the palace, to the Mishteh. It's over, the Galus is over, let's all celebrate together, even the Jews and even the this. Yes, you can keep your wine. Achashverosh, we're going to make all the parties. And then Lavan, who said, I'm going to destroy the Jewish people. And then we were able to overcome those two steps, and we were able to make it into the land of Eretz Yisrael for the second time, to build the second Beis Hamikdash. And now we find ourselves in the same exact confrontation. And Bilam, riding on his donkey, represents someone who is entrenched in the Chomer. He's riding on the Aton. The Maharal explains that there's a connection over there. He's connected. The female donkey, there's a connection to the Chomrius. And whereas Avram Avinu, he rides on the Chamor, he's able to rule over the physical world. And that's really our job. That's our job in our generation, is to overcome these two challenges. That's why the Gemara tells us that you learn from the Birchaso Shel Oso Russia, the blessings of this Russia, of Bilam HaRasha, you learn also the curses that he tried to curse the Jewish people. And the Gemara says that everything turned back into Aklala besides one thing. Right? He said, Hein am levadad yishkon uvagoim lo yitchashav. There's a nation that sits by themselves, and it says, Matovu alecha Yaakov mishkenosecha Yisrael. So the Medrash explains, Hein am levadad yishkon. How do you spell the word hen? Hen is hey and nun. And says the Medrash, every letter has a partner that adds up to 10 or adds up to 100. The letter Aleph, the partner is Tet, and together they add up to 10. And Beis partners with Ches, which is 8, and together they add up to 10. And Gimel adds up with Zayin, and they add up to 10. And Dalid goes together with Vav, and together they add up to the number 10. And which letter is stuck alone? The letter Hey. And the same thing in the tens. You have Yud together with Tzadik is 100, and Chaf together with Pei is together 100. And you take every letter, it adds up besides the letter Nun, which is 50, which is all alone. And says the Medrash, Hein am levadad yishkon, that just like every letter has a Ben Zug, but Hey and Nun does not, that is Am Yisrael, that they do not have a Ben Zug. We realize that we are unique. We realize that we're special. We realize that we're different. And we realize that we have these challenges of Lavan, who tries to assimilate us to tell us that we're just like everybody else. We're the same exact thing. And we have Esav HaRasha who comes and says, I will destroy you. Because if you are getting too much like everyone else, if you're starting to live in the culture of Yesh Li Rav, of that I need more and more and more and more, I will come after you and I will destroy you. And not only that, the Go and the Gra says, there's also, if you take it to the tens, to the hundreds, we also have every single letter has a Ben Zug. And he says that the letter, the Osios Sophios, if you take Kuf is 100, Reish is 200, Shin is 300, Tuf is 400, but you also add Mansepach, Chaf Sophis, Mem Sophis, Nun Sophis, it adds up to 1,000. And he says over there, if you do all the pairing, the letter Chaf Sophis, which equals 500, is also by itself. And he says that's what it means. Hinach Yafara Yati. Hey, Nun, Chaf Sophis is how beautiful Am Yisrael, when we realize that we are unique. So much we try to, as kids, it's very important for us to belong. It's very important for us to be like everyone else. But all my friends are doing this. I hear this from my daughters all the time. Abba, can I go? Everybody else is doing it. Everybody else is acting this way. There's something when we're children that we want to belong and to be exactly like everybody else. As we grow up, as we become more mature, we realize that we could be a part of something, but that we bring something unique to that community. We bring something unique to who we are. Our uniqueness and our family's uniqueness is okay to be unique, as long as we also know the balance of how to accept other people and to be a part of a larger community. That is the role of Am Yisrael. We cannot be children that just are trying to be like everybody else. Oh, I want to belong, I want to be like everybody else. And then the friends take us in the wrong directions. We cannot be led by other people. Am Yisrael, we have a mission, we have a destiny, that we're here to be unique and to lead the way of what are the right values and what is the right way to act and what are the right way to behave. And that's what it means to overcome Lavan and to overcome Esav. And that's the process that Yaakov needed to become, to build that uniqueness and to say we're different than Lavan. And to overcome Esav and to say, I'm not living in your world of Yesh Li Rav. I live in a world of Yesh Li Kol. I have everything that I need. I'm happy with what I have. That's the process that Bnei Yisrael needed to overcome in this week's Parsha. On their last step into Eretz Yisrael, they're about to come in. They need to overcome Bilam and Balak together, that represents Lavan and Esav coming together to destroy the Jewish people, to try to assimilate us, to try to overcome us, to try to fight against us. And we need to be able to overcome that. And the way we were able to overcome that was the blessing of Bilam that says, Matovu oalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. How beautiful are your tents, Am Yisrael. How beautiful are the places that you dwell. And says the Gemara, Elu batei midrashot ubatei knesiot, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that I hear the uniqueness of Am Yisrael. They gather together to daven in the shuls. They have a relationship with Hashem. They talk to Hashem every single day. During this time period, we're home. This is the time really to talk to Hashem. And talking to Hashem, yes, it's going a minyan 3 times a day, but maybe it's not even going a minyan for many of us. Maybe it's not even davening the regular Shmona Esrei. How many of us had a genuine conversation with Hashem this week? What makes us unique is that we have Bati Knesios, is that we have a relationship with Hashem and we could have a conversation with our Creator. And what makes us even more unique is that we have the base medrash, which is what we're doing right now. It's a virtual base medrash, but it's a base medrash. It's taking the time to learn about values, about meaning, about purpose. And those are the things that are super important. Those are the things that make us unique. Those are the things that make us special. And that is the process that Am Yisrael needs to go through before they merit to enter the land of Eretz Yisrael. And that's why throughout all of the blessings of Yaakov, of Bilam, he mentions Yaakov and Yisrael, Matov Olecha Yaakov, Mishkenosecha Yisrael. Because when Yaakov was able to overcome Lavan and then to overcome Esav, what was the bracha that the angel of Esav gave him? He said, Lo yikare ot shimcha Yaakov ki im Yisrael. Explains the Maharal that the word Yaakov represents Akev. It's Yud Akev, that Yaakov is involved in even lowliness things, in the small things. And Yisrael means that you were a sar, you were a leader, you were a minister, you were able to overpower Esav, you were able to overcome Lavan. And that's exactly what Bilam, through his blessings, is telling Am Yisrael. He's telling them, you guys are amazing. You guys are able to overcome myself together with Balak. You're able again to, on your journey as a nation to Eretz Yisrael, to overpower the concepts of Lavan and Esav coming together to stop you. So again, you get the brachos of Yaakov and Esav, of Yaakov and Yisrael. And that's really always our mission. The reason why the name Yaakov still stayed, even though the name Avram doesn't stay, we call it Avraham, is because throughout Am Yisrael, we're always on this journey of Yaakov and Esav. Sometimes we're lowered down, sometimes we're raised up, and our job is to take the Yud, which is Ruchnius, and bring it down to the lowliest places, which is the Akev, the heel. And we need to raise ourselves up to be a Sar, to be Yisrael, to be a warrior, to be a minister, to be a prince. That's what Yisrael means. We are princes. We rule over Esav and over Lavan. We're the ones who are in control. And that's why this is the story of Am Yisrael coming into Eretz Yisrael. The truth is that Yaakov, when he entered Eretz Yisrael, he needed to face Shechem ben Hamor, the residents of the land. And it says that there were 3 battles over there against the Yoshvei Haaretz, which were Plishtim. And when Bnei Yisrael entered the land, they needed to overcome certain battles. And the same thing is true in the final Geula, that not only do we need to overpower Lavan and Esav before we enter Eretz Yisrael, when we enter Eretz Yisrael, we're going to have a few battles with whoever was residents over here from the Plishtim, and to overpower them. And that represents the children of Ishmael. That's a whole other shiur. We'll save that for a different time, understanding our battle with Ishmael. But this week's Parsha is all about coming out of Galus and into Eretz Yisrael. And this is really an avoda. Bezman hazeh, in our generation, unfortunately, the majority of Am Yisrael has fallen into the trap of Lavan, of assimilation. And a big part of Am Yisrael, even from within the frum world, is toying with the world of Esav that says, Yesh li rav, I have plenty, I have a lot. We take value in it that we have a lot, we have more than other people. That's not our world. The world of Yaakov is Yesh li kol, I have everything that I need. It doesn't matter what other people have. But if we're getting into machlokes, if we're getting into sinas chinam, if we're getting into fights and into arrogance and into kavod, it's because we're living in the world of Esav. And our tafkid, our mission during all of these parshias, which are speaking about Eretz Yisrael, during this time period of Corona across the world, is really to strengthen in these fields and to realize that we are unique and that we give a message to the world and we bring added value to the world. And the world wants to hear our message of living a life of values, creating communities that are based on real social justice and on really creating a better world and on respect to other people, and everyone understanding that what they have is what Hashem wants them to have, and to use their tools to make this world a better place. Just like Yaakov did it and was zocha to enter Eretz Yisrael, just like Bnei Yisrael did it and were zocha to enter Eretz Yisrael, may we merit to see that in our time, that together as a nation we'll be able to overpower Lavan, overpower Esav, and enter the land of Eretz Yisrael and see Mashiach Tzidkenu b'meher b'yameinu. Amen. Yeshar koach.